My name is Sarah O'Donnell. I'm an artist who works in kind of a wide range of mediums, primarily installation, video, and photography. A lot of my work is stemming from an interest in cinema and film, and kind of an obsession with finding ways to make the moving image three-dimensional and experiential. So I'm going to show kind of a range of works, a lot of which kind of touch on this idea and are very influenced by film and theater and architecture. I use a lot of projection. My work is often very light-based and finds ways to sort of take either landscape images or buildings and really kind of make them physically present. This was a projection of waves crashing on a beach at night, and it's intersected by panes of glass to stretch it out over the wall so that it kind of felt like you might get your feet wet if you were looking at it. This is a panoramic image. It's the coast of Nova Scotia, printed and on acrylic with a light inside that turns and rotates around the room so that the image is a sort of landscape that's surrounding the viewer when they stand in this space. I started building my own projectors. These are based out of cardboard boxes. I took a trip to Montana in 2012 and photographed all the buildings in a ghost town there. And this was a whole series of work that came out of it. I took photos of the abandoned buildings and then built these projectors. This is a model of one of the buildings. It's the schoolhouse in the middle of the town that I photographed from all four sides and then built sort of an architectural model out of that and put projectors inside of it to project the surrounding landscape. I'm really interested in finding ways to kind of displace the viewer. This is another iteration of that same project, and it was a way to sort of inhabit both the interior and the exterior of a space at the same time, which kind of hurts my brain, and I like that. And it was a way, too, of sort of creating a wall that's a membrane that's not, it's not completely impermeable. I also did a series of photographs. These are printed pretty large. It's actually maybe half the size of what it's being shown as here. But I was interested in sort of taking these buildings and flattening them out and unfolding them and giving the information to a viewer that strips away the context. This whole town felt like an instant film set to me, and it felt very theatrical. And I was interested in really kind of making that evident. These sort of false fronts and theater flats that are so common and really kind of felt like such a place that was so heavily embedded with narrative that I wanted to kind of highlight that. And so the only thing that's sort of reflecting the surrounding landscape is the windows. And these are sort of large digital collages, lots and lots of hours in Photoshop. I moved to Vermont in 2012, yes, and had been in Ohio. I went to graduate school in Ohio, so I was like so starved for scenery that I moved here, and then immediately kind of felt like this place is so romantic, and I wanted to photograph it in a way that made it a little bit more mysterious, maybe. So I started photographing abandoned buildings out near where I lived. I was in Hyde Park when I first moved here. And I noticed how much, an abandoned structure, when you look at it during the day, the interior is so dark and foreboding. So I started going around to these buildings at night and lighting them up from the inside as a way to kind of bring that history inside forward and make it more visible. I also really like the fact that these could be from anywhere. It's really hard to take the Vermontiness out of Vermont, and it's a challenge, but it's kind of an interesting challenge. This is used to be a functioning covered bridge out near Johnson, Vermont. And this was down the street from my house. It was also really creepy to do this project. I was going into abandoned buildings alone at night in the middle of winter with flashlights and lighting them up from the inside, and then coming back outside and taking long exposure photos. So I got a residency last spring to do 3 months at the Bemis Center of Contemporary Art in Nebraska, which is a pretty incredible place. They give you a whole warehouse to play with, and so I decided I wanted to create a shipwreck. I was very fortunate and was loaned a 16-foot day sailor to cut up, and so I cut the hull. I wanted it to basically look like it was sinking into the floor and treat the floor like a waterline. There's still these sort of film and theater influences coming through in these. I lit it as if it was a theater set, and it was actually shot with a 8mm film, sort of like the actors never showed up. I like thinking of these that way. And then I got really into sinking things. I was looking at news footage, these sort of iconic rooftops that you see when there's a flood or a natural disaster. And so I wanted to build that and had this pretty incredible space on the top story of the building. Back in Burlington, this is the Moran plant. I was really lucky and I got to do a project in the top story of Moran in 2013. I was really interested in this building. It's sort of this ongoing interest with abandoned spaces, and I looked at it and really kind of felt like it was a great opportunity to turn the building into a projector. I lined the top story windows with really bright colored silks and made like a color spectrum along the top. And then that was backlit at night, and during the day, the sunlight shone in and just turned the entire space into kind of an indoor rainbow. This building is kind of fascinating. It's got such a long history here, and a very sort of political history, which is kind of coming back around again. But to me, I just felt like as an artist looking at this space, it was deemed an eyesore, and it was really a great opportunity to make something beautiful again. That's it. Thank you.